stuff happens. All right. Today, my guest is, introduce yourself, guest, for today.
Oh, yeah. My name is John Gleason. I'm the Godless engineer here on YouTube and on Facebook. And if you want to come and watch my stuff, y'all can check me out there.
Yeah. So, were you a God engineer before, or were you always godless?
I've always been. Wait, can you ask that again?
Sorry, I said wrong. I said, were you always a godless engineer, or were you a Christian engineer at one point?
No. I started the whole godless engineer thing after I became an atheist. It was actually, I think, probably a couple years after I became an atheist. So yeah, it's always been godless engineer. I was religious at one point in my life, but now I'm obviously not. And I never really dipped into the whole apologetics thing while I was a Christian. It was mainly just, it was something that I was really not all that like forthcoming about. It's like I went to church, I believed in all of that stuff, but it was not really a prime component of my life.
Yeah, I was something the opposite. For a while I was a 3 day a weeker at my church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was VBS. I was volunteering for that. I was full force.
Oh wow. Yeah, so I would go to like the youth like Wednesday night church services, and I really wouldn't go to like the Sunday services. There were various points in my life where I would go to like Sunday services and not Wednesday. It sort of switched up between there, because when I became during my teenage years, I was really more into it for the friendships, and the building of community, and just having people to talk to and stuff. And since I'm in the South, like everybody goes to church, everybody takes part in some kind of church activity, and so it was kind of hard to escape. So I joined a church, and I went to Wednesday night stuff, and I took I actually went to Bible study classes with a few of my friends. And I got to tell you, I don't remember a thing from any of those Bible study classes, like not one bit. But so far I remember most of the things that we read in the Bible now on our daily Bible podcast.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing. I think one thinking back about it now, I think I mainly went there for the social aspect more than the actual, they're there for a reason aspect. I went there the social people, really.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, at least I was lucky where my church was. I could wear stuff like this, like t-shirts and jeans to church. And wasn't one of those like
oh yeah,
you have to dress up things every Sunday.
Yeah, so I've been to churches where you have to dress up. Like I've been part of those kind of churches. Like I started out as a Catholic, and so you had to dress up for that church. And then, after we were Catholic and we left that, we kind of bounced around different places. But like I know now my mom is Lutheran, and I'm not sure if she goes to church on Sundays anymore, but when we did go to church, we would dress up for it and everything. When I got into my teenage years, it was pretty much just jeans and a t-shirt kind of deal. Not the times that I tried to go on Sundays. I remember going one Sunday at this non-denominational church. And I mean, it was still, you had to wear like khakis and like a button-down shirt and everything. So, I mean, you had to look nice. You couldn't just wear jeans and a t-shirt. But like the Wednesday nights were the youth like services, and you could definitely wear like jeans and a t-shirt then. And maybe that's why I preferred that on top of, the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
I really could just come as I was.
I think that was a song we used to sing. But yeah, it's funny, 10 years ago, before I quit church, I actually thought about making my channel a Christian-based channel. So I might be one of the channels that you debunked nowadays.
Oh yeah,
things had gone differently.
So, I mean, what were you going to be like? Had you planned on doing like apologetic stuff on your channel, like defending the faith, or?
Oh, mainly just puppet, mainly a kid-based channel, like puppets and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because before I left, I was doing puppet shows for the kids at the church.
Oh, okay.
But then stuff went down. The church, started like going political and stuff. I'm like, what? So I'm like, so I left that church, went to another one for 2 years. But at that point, I was already like iffing, like, the doubts and stuff were in my mind by that point. And then, like 2011, I just stopped going altogether.
Well, why did you end up like stopping to go? Like, was there any one particular thing that caused you to do that?
Well, first it was an disagreement. I had been going to that church for like since I was 5, and I was 29 at the point. And then they someone said I did something I didn't do, and they believed them, a newcomer. I'm like, screw you guys too. I've been here for like forever, and you guys believe this guy? Like, screw that. So, so I left, went to a new church for about 2 years near where I live now. Lived then, but that point, I distrust. So I'm like, and finally I'm like, forget this.
No, I totally understand that. I think I probably would have left too.
But I think I still consider myself a Christian for a while after that.
Yeah.
But it's still funny. I never heard of people like Kent Hovind and stuff until after I stopped going to church. That's how important he was to where I lived. So why did you create your channel, anyways?
Why did I quit my channel?
I'm sorry, create your channel.
Create. Okay. So I first started off with Godless Engineer on Facebook, and I had this whole new worldview kind of thing, and I was, responding to certain like Facebook posts and everything like that, in an atheistic way. And apparently none of my family members really liked it. So what I ended up doing was creating my own like Facebook page that I called Godless Engineer, and to put out my thoughts and opinions. And I called it Godless Engineer because I had just graduated with my master's in software engineering, and I had nothing else to do, and I felt like engineer was kind of a defining like thing of me, and I still consider it a very defining thing of.
So you're a master engineer then, like master.
Well, I have a master's of science in software engineering, and then I have a bachelor's of science in computer engineering.
So are you ever going to be a doctor engineer?
Funny, I could do that work. Like I could do that, but it would take a lot of time and effort to get the doctorate, and money. It would take a whole lot of money to get it done too. But I could do it if I wanted. There's not really any gain other than the fact that people have to call me doctor, or knowing me, I would make people be like, no. It's Dr. Gleason, by the way.
Especially if you ever debate Kent Hovind again.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a real doctor, bitch. But anyways, so I could go and get a doctorate, but I mean, that's a lot of time and money, effort for not a lot of gain for my particular area. So like it's very beneficial, like in historical studies, to become a doctorate, to get your PhD in historical studies, or some of these other like positions. But considering I'm not looking to teach or do anything of that kind of academic nature, a doctorate's really not going to help me out. But yeah, I had gotten my master's and everything like that, and I decided to create this page, and I didn't want it to just be another atheist whatever kind of page. I wanted it to be a little different, to sort of stand out. And so I settled on the word godless, and so I went Godless Engineer. And so that's kind of where it started. I believe I started that back in 2012, which I graduated that May with my master's. And so I created that page about 5 months later is when I decided to do that. So that's where I started out. And then about a year, I'd say about a year into it, I was like, hey, I should make a YouTube channel just so that I'm on another platform. And that way nobody can take it. And so I created it, and there was a little finagling around like getting my name and URL and everything like that right. But as soon as I figured all that out, I had it kind of situated, and then I made a response video. I think one of my first response videos was surrounding this instance of Hemet Meta. He raised a whole bunch of money for this library, and he donated the money to the library, of course. And they sent the money back. Like, they had a meeting about it, and they were like, no, we don't want your money. And they sent him the money back. And so they posted up their meeting online because it was like it was a public meeting of some kind. So they posted it up online, and I put together this video that is pretty much just me saying the word fuck for about 10 minutes or so. And being very angry, like a very angry atheist kind of persona. And, I went with that kind of rhetoric for a while. And eventually I started doing regular videos. And now we're here today. I felt like doing more videos was like a next step in my activism, because I really wanted to do a lot more for people and for the community at large. And I felt like getting on camera and putting, videos out there might empower other people, or might, just be a positive message for other atheists. And so that's kind of where I was wanting to go with it. And I, first starting out, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't know that I needed to figure out what audience I wanted to reach, or, what type of person I would want to watch my videos. I didn't really think about any of these audience building type of things. And so it was very rough starting out, but as soon as I started doing, regular, like, scheduled videos and whatnot, I always work on my niche. Like, I always work on my content, trying to make it better, tweak, things here or there to, add a little bit extra and really just sort of polish my style. And so it's always a constantly, like, evolving type of thing. But I feel like I'm in a pretty good, like, a pretty good flow right now.
Cool. Yeah, my channel isn't that history isn't that exciting. I just named out the city I grew up in and the year I graduated high school.
No, hey, that's fine. I mean, like I said, I had a specific purpose for creating the Godless Engineer brand, and I was always very keen on trying to name things appropriately. I guess that comes from being, such an experienced programmer. You always want to have your variables named in such a way where it communicates a lot of information just in the name. You don't want just random variables out there that you don't know what in the world they do. And so, I mean, naming myself Godless Engineer, I felt like that sent a message about me just in the name alone, that I was atheist, I was godless, and then I'm also an engineer. So, I felt like that kind of summed me up.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah. Ooh. So do you ever have, like, you live in the South, right? So is that ever, like, hard down there?
It can be, especially at work. Most of the people that I work with are conservative Christians, so that doesn't really help. I do have a few people around me, like, work-wise. I've had a few people in, like, at various buildings and stuff that I've worked at, they have also been of the atheist mindset. So that has helped a little bit, but for the most part, people are very Christian and they're very conservative. And so with me and my politics and, just my demeanor in general, it hasn't really helped out a lot. Like, I remember this one time I was in a conversation with somebody about the Boy Scouts allowing gay scout leaders. And during the conversation, like, I didn't say anything inflammatory because, I don't know if you've watched much of my stuff. I can be very inflammatory at times. But
well penis.
Huh?
Well penis.
Yeah, well penis. Funny though, I didn't actually say whale penis. He's the one that brought it up. I never brought that up. Anyways, so in the conversation, just randomly, we were just having a simple conversation over gay Boy Scout leaders. And this guy, he just busts out, yells at me, "I don't want no gay scout leader in charge of my kid." And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm leaving this conversation. I just decided to get out of there quick. I was like, okay, if we're just going to yell at this point, then I'm not even going to talk. So it's just, sometimes it can be very hard. Most of the time I try to keep to myself. Or at least at work, I try to keep to myself. Like I said, there are a lot of times. I would say probably most of the time there's not a lot of talk centered around politics or religion, but I will hear random things like somebody complaining about their Sunday school choir or something like that, or just talking about church and religion in general. But I don't ever interfere because I'm not an asshole atheist. I know that I can be an asshole sometimes, but I'm not in normal life. I really don't just go up to people like, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but God don't exist, motherfucker," kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, luckily at my work, where I work at, actually, we've watched videos like this at work when we were bored, waiting for customers on my phone. I guess I think about living up north in Ohio,
Right. I'm sure. Ohio's got to be kind of conservative, right? Do you have a lot of Christians that you interact with on a daily?
Not much that I used to. There's churches everywhere around my neighborhood, but
oh yeah, you can't you could literally walk outside your door, throw a rock, and you'll hit a church down here. You wouldn't want to do that though. I would assume that would be vandalism or something. So
there's a Catholic church basically a 5-minute walk from my house that they have a carnival every year I go to.
Yeah,
because Ferris wheels. But it's funny. Once I stopped to go to church, and I started realizing stuff about the people I'm like people like the Westboro Baptist Church people, and I'm like this and that, and that. I'm like, I think to myself, was I like that when I was a believer? Was I? I don't think I was, but was I like that? These people? Did I think like this?
Yeah. I have those times too, because, I always knew that I was never really vocal about being a Christian or believing in Jesus or anything like that. I've always taken religion to be a personal thing. So I've never really been one to push my ideas on anybody. But I do remember specifically thinking some really ridiculous things. I remember one time I thought about how, well, if we're all descended from Adam and Eve, then we're all related. And at the time, that didn't really click with me. That, oh, wow, we're all fucking inbred.
Technically twice.
Twice, because of Adam and Eve, and then you got Moses and his family. They all fucked each other. So you don't ever think about those things. I had a hard time believing in Noah's Ark and everything like that, but I didn't have a problem as a kid. I didn't have a problem with Adam and Eve. But I know at some point like, I don't know if that belief just went away or whatnot, but like as soon as I learned about evolution, biology, and all that kind of stuff, like it just didn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I ever considered myself a younger creationist. I think I might have been an old Earth creationist at one point,
Mm-hmm.
but then I learned about evolution and stuff, so I went from that to theistic evolutionist for a while. But it's like, but I was never into science. Except for food chains. I love food chains as a kid, but I was more of a history buff as a kid, and like. So basically, the Noah's Ark clicked on me. Like, wait a minute, it's like so. I was one of the people that tried to you know how some people try to make the history fit the Bible. History fit the Bible. I was the opposite. I tried to make the Bible fit history for a while. So,
oh really?
So, yeah. So it's like I'm thinking, wait a minute, how could Noah's Ark have happened 4,400 years ago if the Native Americans crossed the land bridge 10,000 years ago? I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, wait a minute, how did this make sense? So then I'm like, well, duh, obviously the Noah's Ark happened before that. It happened earlier, like 20,000 years ago. It makes perfect sense now.
Well, you know, honestly, as a kid, I believed in the Adam and Eve thing and whatnot religiously, but I don't know. I didn't learn about the whole 6,000-year-old Earth thing until after I was an atheist. Like it was never really part of any doctrine that I knew of that I believed in at the time. But I know that at one point in time I did believe that Adam and Eve were real people, and so I just don't think that I really thought too much into it because we never. Like as a kid, we never really went into that much in depth with like Christian theology.
I mean, yeah, as a kid, you ask questions and stuff like, really? But then you believe you easily believe what your parents tell you or teachers tell you. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, and I mean, why not? I mean, those are people that you're supposed to trust. I mean, they've built this level of trust with you, and it seems unreasonable at the time to distrust what they're telling you. So, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Christianism was a thing either. I thought everyone, believed, creationism, obviously, but, it's like, everyone knows the Earth's old, so God has made the stuff billions of years ago.
Well, like I said, I didn't really know about any of that until after I became an atheist and I started critically looking at, all sides of the religious question. And, come to find out that these people think that the Earth is really 6,000 years old. It's just mind-blowing to me.
I know. It's like, yeah, I started going to church for 4 years for a while when I was a kid. I stayed home, watched for a while. I watched history videos on the History Channel back when the History Channel actually talked about history, and back when MTV had music videos and stuff.
Yeah, those were the good old days, huh?
Oh yeah, but it's like, so I don't know. It's just weird thinking back how you used to be back then and how you are now. It's funny. I respect people like you, really, because I tried watching a Christian, during that whole, Aaron Raw, Kent Hovind debate back and forth thing.
Yeah.
I tried watching one of Kent Hovind's videos directly. And it's like I just couldn't handle it for more than 5-10 minutes. I'm like, ugh. It's like,
yeah, with Kent, I love how Kent in his debates, he tries to push, people buying his like DVD sets and everything like that. I mean, he just sees these debates as opportunities to market himself, basically, because you can't beat Ken Ham in a debate. At least in Ken Ham's head, you can't beat him because obviously Ken.
The same person, basically the same person. Ken Ham.
Yeah, sorry, I kept saying Ken Ham, but it's Kent Hovind. Sorry, Kent Hovind can't lose in a debate because in his head he has all the information on his side. But I mean, you can't tell him that he's wrong because he'll just dismiss you.
After all, it's religion.
Well, yeah, it requires him to dogmatically hold to his position. So
evolution is a religion after all. It's like it's according to him at least.
Yeah, well, evolution by definition can't be a religion. So, I mean, what they're basically doing with that is they're trying to put evolution on the same playing field as their religion by making it a belief system in general. But you can't do that because evolution is not a belief system. It's a scientific theory that we use to explain observations in reality.
Yeah, and I think they really persuade more Christians than they do atheists. Really, like if you're not on our side, you're with them. Like, okay, fine, we're with them then. Like people that believe in theistic evolution, like I did, like you're either with us or you're against us. I'm like, fine, I guess we're against you then.
Yeah, I hate that kind of mentality. The you're with us or against us. Like, it's never really that clear cut, and I wish more people would see it that way.
Oh, so you have any subject you want to talk about? Because I always like to have my guests talk about at least one subject they want to talk about.
I don't know. I cover a lot of different subjects. I mean, creationism's just one of them on my channel. I'm trying to go through the Genesis apologetics. They have this playlist of myths, and I'm stuck on number 3 because it talks about the different Genesis accounts in Genesis chapters 1 and 2, and they go pretty in depth with the Torah, the writing of it, and everything like that. So it's taken a lot more research and stuff to really dive into that. I know on Monday, I believe I'm planning starting a response to a video on the historicity of Jesus. A lot of people, think that there's all of these historical sources for Jesus, but there really isn't. There's really just one source for Jesus, and that's Paul. His writings in the Bible are really the only source that we have about, this Jesus character. And even then, he only says that he's a hallucination, that he receives visions from Jesus and he reads the scriptures. And that's the only way that he knows any kind of information about him. And he also says that other people have only received revelation about him. And that's the only way that they know anything about Jesus. So it kind of seems to me like Jesus was this hallucinatory thing that happened to Paul and other people of the Jewish faith because they were expecting a Messiah to come. So it just kind of seems like that would be a better explanation. But a lot of people are very adamant about his historicity, and they use a lot of really bad argumentation for it. So it's actually quite astounding how much bad information is out there about it.
Yeah, back before I started going to church, I was actually studying like the Jewish roots of Christianity that they have. Oh yeah, yeah. I found this weird channel called Zola Levitt Ministries back then. And it's like basically they even had like a correspondent course that I actually signed up for, like a 12 CD course.
Oh wow!
Listen to the CDs, take tests, and send them back in there. I bought the CDs, but I never did the tests.
Oh really?
Yeah. But yeah, they basically talked about how it's funny. People talk about how, if he didn't exist, but if he did exist, he was this white godlike figure, like no, if he existed, he'd been a Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
Dark skin, whatever. Like
yeah, so a lot of people think that the whole white, blue-eyed Jesus or whatever is the one that would have been, pimp walking around Palestine, but it's really not. They've tried to do reconstructions of what the actual Jesus would look like. And, he's a typical Middle Eastern looking guy. But then again, during the Middle Ages or whatever, during that time span, there were a lot of, portraits and everything like that made that just used the general, I don't know, it was like a 13th, 14th century person. I can't remember exactly. I think
made like from wherever they were from, that's how Jesus looked like. Oh, he was French.
Exactly.
He was definitely Italian.
Yeah.
But
other than all of that, let's see. I do a lot of anti-pseudoscience type stuff, generally from like conspiracy theorists and whatever. I have back, it was around January, I want to say, when that transformer in New York City blew. A lot of conspiracy channels were talking about how it was Project Blue Light and all this other stuff. And that was an excellent opportunity to actually investigate like what this Project Blue Light thing was. And basically, it's a failed Star Trek script that people have taken to be an actual like conspiracy of the New World Order. And what it was basically meant to do is project holographic images in the skies to, different nations of some kind of celestial sorry, like a celestial being like Jesus or something like that, and convince people to install this new world order or something like that. But it started out originally as a movie script for Star Trek, Star Trek, and it got scrapped. And various portions of it were actually used in Star Trek episodes, but never actually became a movie. So it's with the pseudoscience crowd. What they do is they take a nugget of information that's true, and then they extrapolate from that, and they build this entire narrative that's just crazy around that one nugget of truth, so that at the very least they can go back to that nugget of truth and be like, well, you see, that's true. Look it up. It's verifiable. Like, for instance, with the Area 51 raid that was supposed to go on last month, a conspiracy channel named A Call for an Uprising did this whole video about how Aleister Crowley and Jim Parsons were doing like seance, like ritual stuff to open up a portal to bring some Babylon queen here, right? And he was talking about it like he believed that this stuff actually happened. But the nugget of truth here is that Jim Parsons and Aleister Crowley and all this, they were crazy fucks. They actually did like do these like seances and witchcraft and all this other stuff. They performed these rituals and whatever. And they actually did these things, and they did go to the area that we know now as Area 51, right? But it wasn't Area 51 then. They were there like 10 years beforehand, and it's like a general area. It's not like the exact place where Area 51 or
is that the guy that was an Andy Griffith? Is that the Andy Griffith show guy?
Jim? No. Jim Parsons. He was an aerospace engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. I think you're talking. I think you're thinking about the Sheldon. I think his name might be Jim Parsons.
Yeah, I think he was like, he had a spinoff with the Marine spinoff show, Gomer Pyle.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what his name was, but no, Jim Parsons was not that. He was an aerospace engineer that worked at I can't remember right now where he worked at, but it's still a major firm, JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab. He was there when that was founded. But like I said, the nugget of truth is that Jim Parsons and Aleister Crowley and these other people, they actually did these things, but they didn't do them the way that he says they did them, or for the reasons that they did them, that he says they did them. So it's really interesting how they take that nugget of truth and then they build up this conspiracy around that nugget.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that. They take, you can take one little truth thing and stretch it and like see how far it can stretch before it's not really the truth anymore. Kind of like the anti-vaxxer people.
Yeah, the anti-vaxxers. I mean, they all pseudoscience is just nuggets of truth with crazy wrapped around them, right? So with the anti-vaxxers, they take a nugget of truth like, they put all these like toxic metals in vaccines and whatever. And the truth is that like I believe it's called thimerosal maybe was used at one time in vaccines as like a preservative. And while it may contain some toxic materials, the materials are only toxic at certain like dosages. At the dosages that were being used like in the vaccines, they were not toxic at all. So you have to understand that they're taking old information, packaging it as new information, and saying that, oh, they're injecting you with these toxic chemicals, and that is what's causing autism or something like that. And it's just a load of bull, because there's no link to autism with vaccines. Yeah. There's no danger really in taking vaccines unless you're already immunocompromised, which even then, you can get vaccinated. You just have to be very careful about it and like take them later, or you might have to stay in the hospital a little bit.
And that's where the herd immunity thing comes into place.
Yeah.
If we're around these vaccinated, you're pretty much, I guess you're kind of safe a little bit. But it's funny. I said I replied back to it one time. Says all the vaccines called you autism. Well, fine, I'll take autism over polio.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that how vaccines work and how, regardless of the outcome of it, I mean, being protected against those kind of diseases that will definitely kill you. Whatever you think might happen when you get, vaccinated, it's a hell of a lot better than being dead.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they didn't have chickenpox vaccines. Now they do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember I want to say I was in high school when I got chickenpox, because my sister got chickenpox from somebody, and then I got it from her. I know now there are some parents that do like chickenpox parties, where like if one kid gets chickenpox, all of the other parents will like shove their kids around that kid so that they all too get chickenpox, so that they can, so that they can become immune to it in the future, or they can go ahead and have it so that they don't have it in the future.
Yeah, it's weird. People nowadays are like, they actually use the natural selection thing for vaccines. Like we were immune to it back then because we let our bodies be immune to it. Well, yeah, people also died back then too.
Yeah. I mean, people died back in the day, like from a splinter to the foot. So, I mean, it kind of seems like they would want every advantage, to being, protected.
Yeah, I guess that's where I guess we're now artificial selection now. Yeah. Actually, now think about it, when I was thinking, actually, if the evolution was true, that's pretty much artificial selection on a cosmic scale. It's like God basically breeding things on Earth. Okay, I'm gonna breed humans over here. Gonna breed dogs. Gonna breed cats over here. We pretty much like a broccoli thing to God. Like we're gonna breed this ape into a human. Or like a chihuahua. Or like a chihuahua.
Yeah, it's kind of odd how much creationists don't know about the evolutionary process. I recently had a debate with Lawrence Tisdale, who is known for doing like debates on creationism. He literally said that apparently the evolutionary story for like whales is that a four-legged creature took a bath in water and then turned into a whale. He literally describes it this way, like in a debate with me. And I listened to my response after I did the debate. I've got the video of it that I'm putting on my channel. I'm trying to get up there right now, but like I listened back to it, and he says that entire spiel, and I turn on the mic, and I'm just like, that's not how this works. Like I'm so profoundly like mystified by what he just said that I don't even know how to respond to it.
It's like the opposite too, when going from fish to amphibian like creatures. They're like, one day a fish just flopped on the land and grew legs, and there you go.
Yeah, they always do that too, and that's a straw man argument, and it's easy to knock down. And but they'll like, even if you knock it down, like if you tell them how they're not representing the evolutionary process correctly or anything like that, as soon as you tell them that, they just dismiss you, and they hold on to their preconceived notion about how evolution works. They're not willing to listen to what you're saying about the position that you hold.
Yeah, it's like I think some people are just jerks or stupid people, religious or not religious. They're like something that's, I think religion has nothing to do with it. It's just some people are just idiots.
So some people are, but a lot of people give me crap for like low-hanging fruit or something like that. And I feel like everybody deserves a chance to be, corrected on something. I don't feel like anybody is too, quote unquote, irrelevant to address on these things. Yeah. And I think everybody deserves a chance to be told that they're wrong, and it really should be up to them to disregard the information.
Also, I think you shouldn't really bite off more you can chew. Like, because I'm not sure really it really is any high-hanging fruit in the creationist circle that well, but it's like you don't want to go off against like a big timer your first time out.
No. I mean, unless like that is an area that you specialize in. Yeah. But I don't think I also don't think that anybody's too big, to respond to. In some cases, I mean, it's actually a good idea to do that. Most of the time, picking on somebody that's bigger than you, or not picking on, sorry, not picking on, but responding to a person that's much larger than you are, can reach a lot more people, because people are wanting to know, what is the other side to this.
Of course, except for Kent Hovind, I think, because he's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same debate, no matter who he get against. It's pretty much the same. I've interviewed like four people, like you, Tony Reed, Bill Ludlow, and like this Christian Eric somebody, and he's like, they pretty much had, and their debate that pretty much he's the same, almost the same thing every debate, no matter what the subject was.
Right. Well, I know with mine it was whether or not the global flood happened, and I know with Bill Ludlow it was more about evolution. So, I mean, he comes with the same basic arguments, of course. He has a playlist basically of arguments that he uses, and they don't ever change.
Like, even if the subject's different, like
right.
The flood happened. The Bible says so. I win. Like evolution. Oh, Bible, this is not. I win. Oh yeah. Before I got here, I was watching your 4-part series with Apologia about Ken Ham's book.
Oh yes, that is a really good series. We still have another half of that book to go. We just haven't really been able to nail out like some time frame.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, because you said, like, I think your wife and I guess his not only wife was going to do a part 2 of it.
Yeah, it was. It's actually going to be Casey and Shannon that does the second half. I had forgotten about that. Sorry, honey.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was looking for that. Like, where's part 2 at? Like,
yeah, we're planning on getting there someday, and we still have the book somewhere. It's around here somewhere. It's on the bookshelf. Where books go, honey. Saying that book is a book, I feel is very liberal.
Like, so you're saying you have a book.
Oh yes. Well, I mean,
it was a joke, like the Ken Ham joke in the Bill Nye debate.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah, we have
like,
a book.
oh. I am out of ideas right now.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah. So you have anything else planned for the future?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Anything else planned for the future besides continuing stuff that you dropped years ago?
Well, yeah. So, as far as like the Godless Engineer brand goes in general, I plan to hopefully take part in more like in-person debates. I would really love to start doing those a lot more, maybe like a couple a year or something like that. I don't know if I'll really get that chance, but it would be awesome if I could. I would like to do more of those, and I'm going to be, doing a lot more history-based videos for my channel. I'm going to be touching on the historicity of Jesus and why I don't think that he was actually a historical figure. I'm going to be doing a lot more of those. I'm really going to be targeting creationism, the historicity of Jesus, and separation of church and state stuff. I've got 1 or 2 videos in my backlog right now that I really want to cover that goes over like separation of church and state issues.
Yeah, I think that's what really got me too, the separation of church and state. Because even though I went to church, my house I grew up in was a pretty democratic household. So it's like, and pretty much the church nowadays is like anti-democrat, anti-liberal, anti-democrat, pretty much. So it's like kind of conflicted a little bit there.
Yeah.
But ideologies. Also, I was history buff too. It's funny when I was watching your last video upload yesterday or earlier today. I'm like, the history buff of me was like screaming at you. You're like, you got that wrong, you idiot.
Oh wait, did I get something wrong?
Yeah, but it's like talking about the oxygen revolution or Holocaust, whatever it's called.
The oxidation event. I can't remember what it was. What did I think about that?
Well, it pretty much happened a billion years before the Cambrian period.
Oh, well, all of my research said that during the Cambrian era, there was the great oxidation event that happened that caused it, that caused the atmosphere to change.
Well, I think it happened. Well, I think it happened more than once, really. But like, from what I've studied, like when the cyanobacteria happened, first happened like 2 billion years ago, and then that froze the earth a little bit, and then after that the Cambrian happened. So it's like, but really people don't know much about the pre-Cambrian era. It's like twice as long as we have now.
Right.
but
right.
as a history nerd, I'm like, of course, that's just the history nerd in me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was doing a lot of research on the early atmosphere, and maybe I did because it seems like because I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it, the Great Oxidation Event, and you're right, it took place during the Paleoproterozoic era, not the Cambrian. So it happened prior to that. But there was an event that happened during the Cambrian era
True.
that caused. It caused a change in the atmosphere, and that was essentially the end of that atmosphere during that era,
Yeah.
and then our new atmosphere kind of started to form, and that's why the sea life was able to start making its way on land was because of how much oxygen was gathering in the atmosphere.
Yeah, of course, it was slowly but surely, not like 6 days.
Oh no! It happened, in very it happened very slowly.
But yeah, I made that comment in your video. It's like they're like, hey, 10 years, like 500 million years ago, we had 10 times the CO2 level, and nothing bad happened. And I said, well, also we have everything living in the sea, so the extra sea life, extra sea land, they didn't really mind that much, Oh, more sea, yay for us.
Well, yeah, I thought it was really disingenuous to compare our current atmosphere to an atmosphere that doesn't exist anymore back during a time when nothing lived on the face of the earth. It was all sea life.
Yeah, like in the Jurassic or Cretaceous, either Jurassic or Cretaceous, they have that big ocean, big sea right in the middle of the plant belt or the grain belt. Like, yeah, that's really why a big ocean. Where we're growing all the grain, we're gonna need to survive. Yeah. Yeah, a little extra ocean will help. Won't hurt. Like a little extra CO2 won't hurt. It'll help the plants. Yeah, where are they going to grow at? Once we start eating plankton and algae.
Right.
So do you anything else besides debunking things and stuff? I do podcasts, rants, food reviews, and video games.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I do play some video games. I've got another channel called Godless Engineer Plays that I upload to sometimes. And it's really hard for me because I work 40 or more hours a week, and so it's a little hard for me to actually produce content for that channel. But I do that. We also have a podcast that Casey and I do on Tuesdays. There's actually two. There's one for the Skeptic Mafia that's private for like members and stuff, and then there's the public daily Bible podcast that we put out.
I found that like a week or two ago.
Oh yeah. And then there's comments videos that I do. I do my live streams. So I mean, I got a pretty good variety of stuff that appears here on the channel. I as far as like outside of like YouTube and everything, I mean, I pretty much just play video games. I work and I spend time with Casey and my son.
Oh.
Our son.
Like my son. I mean, our son. Yeah. So what games are you into right now?
God. So it seems to me like every single game now wants you to spend 400 hours playing it, right? So right now I'm playing Borderlands 3, Surge 2, and there's also another game called Remnant from the Ashes. I haven't picked that up in a little bit, but it's a cool game. It's a lot like Dark Souls, but with a gun. So
the last
go ahead.
The last big game I played a few months ago was Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yeah,
because I was so into that. And now I'm into visual novels like Danganronpa and Steins Gate.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, like KC and I, we love Borderlands. We love playing that game together. So we play that game whenever we can. And then I have a lot of games in my library that I want to play. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's not enough time to play them.
You know that? Yeah, I know that feeling. It's like, okay, I'm going to play this game next. 6 months later, I'm still going to play this game next. Yeah, I have a question. When you're debating people or watching videos, do you ever get concussions like from in your like when you listen to the videos, whatever, and you're like, and you feel like hitting your head on your desk?
Well, I don't ever feel like smashing my face into something. I get people having that feeling, but I do know that when I was looking for a video to do last night, I came across a PragerU video where they said that there's currently no way to store wind and solar energy, right? Like if they overproduce energy, there's no way to store that energy in any kind of way. And when they said wind and solar, I know that solar power can be stored like in batteries. As an efficient way to store that energy. And so I pause the video and I scream to myself alone in the car, batteries, motherfucker. And I stop watching the video.
And but it's also like I've read, and the extra thing, if you don't use it, you can sell it. I don't know if it's true or not, but you can sell give it back to the grid as money for you.
Well, yeah, that's if you're a private citizen and you're producing energy, you can sell it back to the grid. But I think what they're talking about, at least what it was in reference to, was like, oh, well, the wind doesn't blow all the time, so if the wind's not blowing, then you're not getting electricity. And it's like there's no way to store the energy that you generate from it in a way that you can use it later.
I guess, like, hey, come on, I want to watch TV. I can see that. I want to watch TV right now. Come on, wind, where are you at?
Well, I mean, like, there's several ways to store, the energy. Like, I've heard of a creative way to store solar energy, and that's to, like, heat up the air underneath your house, and that'll provide, like, some energy, like, storage there or something, or it helps heat the house at night that way. There's that, and then with the wind power, there's a couple of different ways you can store it. Like one way to store it is by compressing air, and then using that compressed air to generate power later. Another way is through hydroelectric. You use the extra power to pump water behind a dam. And then when you need power, you just let the water generate it for you, generate the electricity for you.
Hey, maybe you can use your engineering skills to create the next renewable engineering solar wind device.
Well, my skills would be probably in developing the software to manage it, not necessarily actually developing like the system entirely. Although KC is getting her systems engineering degree, so she would probably be better at designing that.
So you'd be like a tag team.
Yeah, we could tag team it. I'll do the software stuff and she'll manage it.
Well, I think else I don't know else to talk. That's all we really talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem with only two people sometimes. You're like, you run out of ideas to talk about.
Well, I know. I know for me, when I do like interviews and stuff, I generally have like an outline of questions that I want to get through, and then I get through those questions, and then I'm done. But generally, like other questions pop up along the way.
That's pretty much what I have been doing.
Yeah,
popping up questions. Yeah, usually I have two or three. Usually I have at least three people. So I have three people sometimes. So the conversation can keep on going.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the more people that you add, the longer it's going to be, because everybody wants to put in their 2 cents about whatever's being talked about, and then that in turn generates more conversation.
Yeah, like last week, we did like a podcast on a game, Danganronpa 2, and we talked about it for 3 hours.
Wow.
You should check it out. You should check it out sometime. It's the series Danganronpa. It's pretty much it's a murder mystery. These kids get locked in the school and they kill each other to survive. But by a teddy bear.
That sounds particularly disturbing.
Yes. It's the first M-rated game I ever bought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like a four game series and even an anime.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
So, well, I guess you'll have you. It was nice having you on here. If you're not subscribed to him already, the link will be down below in the descriptions. And if you ever need a guest on your channel, give me a call.
Oh, definitely. If it comes up, I'll definitely keep you in my back pocket.
Cool. And one more thing, did you want this video for your thing? Because sometimes I hear people like what's it called? Like they like have the same video on their channels and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, typically with these types of videos, I will cut out a small portion of it and put up on my channel. That way I can point people to the full thing and hopefully drive some your way.
Cool. Yeah. Well, anybody in my neighborhood doesn't know about you, they do now.
Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate you inviting me on. It was awesome talking to you and spending, the past, I think it's been about an hour, just, relaxing and talking. It's been nice.
That's what I do. That's my catchphrase. Never stop learning and enjoy the randomness.
That's a good catchphrase.
All right. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.